in this tutorial, we'll continue on the third example for this session, practical examples using Proc SQL. So this third example is about how to compute percentages within subtotals. In this example, I want to compute the percent of students weight in car line, which is yes on car line, and not weight in car line, which is no on car line for each class. So before we move to the first Proc SQL program, let me use the Proc import procedure to bring in the Excel data file. So this is the Excel data file, and then the output SAS data, I call it CL data. So let's run this import procedure. This is the CL data. It has 3 columns: student name, car line column, and also the class column. So for the car line column, it has 2 values. One is yes and another one is no. Yes means student will wait in car line, and no means student is not waiting car line. And the class column has 2 values as well, A and B. So those students are coming from 2 classes. Some come from class A and some come from class B. So we want to calculate the percentage of students either wait in car line or not in wait in car line for different classes. All right, let's go back to the code window. So let's look at the first SQL program. So this SQL program, I give it title as percent of students wait in car line for each class. And first, let's look at the subquery. The subquery included in the from clause in this parenthesis. This is the subquery. I want to use this subquery to calculate the subtotal counts for each value of car line. So in the select clause, I want to select column car line, and then I want to use the count function to count each value of car line. So this car line, this is the column name in the parentheses. I want to use count function to count each value of car line as a new column, which is subtotal from this input table, which is CL data. And for counting the car line, I want to count it based on the group of different values of car line. So that's why in this group by class, I put the column car line here. And the resulted table from this subquery, I call it CL data 2. All right. And next, let's look at the select clause. So in the select clause, I want to count the class by each value of class and the car line combination. So here I use the count function to count the class, and the counts, the value from this calculation will be included in this new column. I call it count. And this calculation will be based on the group of each different value of car line and also class. So that's why I include this group by class. And group by class include 2 columns. One is car line and another one is class. Okay. And also in this select clause, I want to include the column car line and also column class from the original input data set, which is CL data. And then I also want to calculate the percentage using the calculated column count and also the calculated column subtotal. So the count column is from this calculation, and the subtotal column is from this calculation, from this subquery. Okay. And then next, let's go back to this from clause again. So this from clause, I want to join the original input table, which is CL data, with the table CL data 2 from this subquery. And the join will be using the condition in where clause, where car line from CL data equals car line from CL data 2. The reason I want to join those two tables under this condition, I want to show you the second SQL program, because this second SQL program will give us a table, so I can explain why we want to join those two tables on car line. Okay, so in this second SQL program, I include two select statements. One select statement is this one: select CL data car line class, and also counting the class as count from CL data, and group by car line and the class. So basically this select statement is part of this select statement. So I only take out the calculation for percent. All right, and I also include the from clause, because this calculation and also all the columns are from this CL data table. And also I include the same group by clause as this first SQL program. So here, because we're counting the class based on the group of car line and the class variable. All right, and also for the second select statement, basically I include the subquery here. So select car line, this subquery in the parentheses is the same as this select statement. All right, so in this way I can output the result from this select statement and also this select statement. So then after we look at those two tables, then we'll understand why here we want to join the two tables using car line. All right, so let's run this second SQL program first. So those are the two tables from the two select statement. So the first one is the count information for each combination of car line and the class values. So for car line, if it's no for car line, and for class A, there are 4 count. For class B, there are 2 count. For car line equals yes, for class A is 5 count, and for class B is 3 count. Okay. And for the second SQL statement, we calculate the subtotal for different response or different values for car line. So car line equals no, we have subtotal equals 6. And for car line equals yes, we have subtotal equals 8. Okay. So for the first SQL program, when we want to join those two tables, we want to join them on car line. In this way, for each car line response, we'll have count and also subtotal. All right, and then we can calculate the percentage of count divided by subtotal. All right, so let's go back to our first SQL program. So that's why in the where clause, we want to join the two tables, CL data and CL data 2, using car line. Okay, so let's run this first SQL program, see what we got. So this is the result table, and this gives us the percentage of students within car line for each class. So we can see for car line equals no, when class equals A, the percentage is 66.67%. And for car line equals no, class equals B, we got about 33%. And for the student waiting car line, here, car line equals yes group, for class A, we have about 60 to 63%. And for class equals B, we have about 38% of student waiting car line for class B. All right. So, all right. So this is it for this tutorial. So this tutorial, I showed you how to compute percentages within subtotals using this student car line data set. All right. So thank you for watching.